I think you have to be daring enough to just say, I am reinventing myself in the sense of, look at what you have done, how this adds value to somebody else's life, not only to the company you're working at. Maybe it's a chance to leave that company and do something else. But society and also employers with this employers politics is not ready for people over 50 who are super active. It's actually quite the opposite. It's still this kind of like, oh, we don't know what to do with you.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Changemaker Stories. I am so thrilled today. I am here with somebody who is incredible, and I would love to for all of you to hear her stories. And I will spill more information later on, and I'm just so happy to finally have her. And yeah, I would love for all of you to really just absorb all her wisdom and her energy that is so infectious as well. Yeah, so her name is Susanne. Hi, Susanne.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm already blushing.
Thank you for being here together with your beautiful lion. Two lions behind you, and I could already feel the energy. Really positive and uplifting energy. I love it. Susanne, I would love you to introduce yourself in any way that you see fit for the Changemaker audience here.
So first of all, thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure being with you on that journey and with you in this little kind of thing called Changemaker Stories. And what you build and do is amazing. So again, many thanks. Yeah, well, I'm Susanne. In a nutshell, I was born and raised in a very small town in the southern part of Germany. And I'm a country girl at heart. Why am I saying this? Because I think, it does something to you if you are raised in the country or in the countryside. My childhood was surrounded by, kind of like, I think I had the most lovely childhood ever. I was surrounded by vineyards. I played outside. I went to the woods with the dogs. So it was really kind of like nice. And it's just such a different life there compared to my life that I have in the city. So I'm based in Hamburg, and I basically lived most of my life in cities, and I love that kind of hybrid. I think it's already very much kind of like what I am. I'm very much of a hybrid, but we might come to that one later. I was raised by really lovely parents, which couldn't have been more different. My dad was very kind of like a go-getter, achievement-oriented, strict and introverted. And my mom was like totally extroverted. She's a people magnet. She's totally emotional and soft and warm. And so, yeah, I think I have both of that, and it shaped me very much. And I was also very much surrounded by strong working women. All of my grandmas, because I had three, my mom got divorced when I was half a year old. They run their own business. My mom runs her own business still with 75. So I'm very much used to the fact that, women have their own careers. And I went to school in that part of Germany. I guess I only went to school because I met my friends there. I was not really so much interested in the whole kind of educational side of it. I went to university in Germany and in the US. Also, university wasn't literally my concept. I think it's because I believe in experience first. I love to do stuff. I'm not that kind of person who's like, being
Sitting in
told
the school.
what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not. So yeah, and so after university, I started working in fashion PR for lovely brands and with lovely women as well. And then I moved into advertising, where we also met. And I did that for many, many years. And I basically help to build, lead, and scale agencies, brands, and capabilities and partnerships. I gave birth and nurtured many top brands, and the most lovely part of it was actually leading teams and helping people to thrive, not only brands but also people to. And then it all stopped, like very sudden. On Valentine's Day 2020, I got fired by my employer, and for many reasons, and some of them are still, I can't compartmentalize, but was my kind of starting point to collect myself, to really think about what I want, and to actually then go into that aspect of my life, which I think is more authentic than anything, because I run now and I consult basically brands and people that are on a quest for change. And so there is, I think, also the little kind of link, this kind of love for change. I mean, I moved 14 times. I had changing clients. I change a lot through my life. Always different hairstyles. So reinvention and change is something I just simply love and addicted to. So yeah, I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you so much. Such a rich journey. And this is what I love about you, that you're just such an open book. And that's quite shocking. It must have been quite shocking, that Valentine's Day. And I love how you seem to be very calm and collected, and also, yeah, just being the person you are now today. Just very positive and very energetic. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure. It's a journey, it's truly a journey. And I think you just feel everything, in situations like having been fired or, being divorced. I just have a client who goes through a divorce. It's just something that changes you.
Yeah.
But also it's this huge chance, and I think it's a mindset question, to be fair.
Yeah, was gonna ask. I'm pretty sure that's also part of the mindset, and would love to hear more about how, what is your mindset practice, and what has helped you to be in this, to be here now like this. But also at the same time, what has helped you to really process the change, once you got fired and now building your own business and being on your own? Is it genetic because your grandmas are really strong women, or what has helped you to to be where you are now after going through such, I would say, such a big change?
Well, I think it's a mix of everything, obviously there's genetics.
Genetic.
And I think I am very grateful for how I got raised, but I want to be very open here. Although I got raised that way, I am still coming out of a family that really highly values achievements. So when I got fired, the first thing that was on my mind was like, oh my God, how do I face my family? Because I was used to having a very kind of like extraordinary career, of like only going up, up, up in a very, yes, I worked my ass off, but it was very, very easy for me to climb the ladder. And and it was always very consistent. There was no kind of like, oh, and now she hit rock bottom or whatever. I was just like, you know, doing what I love to do. It was super smooth. And then you fall out of it. And I literally recall when I was like, oh, what do I tell my mom? You know, and I was 44, you know, I wasn't 20. So I recall that aspect of shame, you know, that aspect of shame, and shame in the fear of not of being disconnected, of being the first one in my family who failed, of being not anymore connected to a lifestyle that I loved, you know, and to people that I loved. And it's yes, it is genetics to some degree, but I had to go through that certain period of telling people. And I think that one to me was super shaping, because the minute you talk about it and the minute you have to talk about it, I mean, it's just a matter of that you have to. It wasn't the fear of providing for myself. It was the fear of like, what would other people say? And I think that is for many people that I meet quite a thing, you know, to then say, oh, you know what, things are changing. And in the sense of also for me and the way you might see me. And I lost a couple of friends, so-called friends.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford doing a couple of things anymore.
Yeah.
But I also have to say that I went through a lot of coaching. I mean, I started with coaching in 2008 when I broke down in a meeting. I collapsed in a meeting, and I collapsed due to me not being sure how to manage my energy. And my stress levels were too high. I was expecting too much from myself, I was never expecting anything from anyone other than from me. You know, I was the biggest critique, and I just pushed myself to really extremes, right? And so I started coaching, and I knew a lot about how to manage my little monkey. Exactly. And so it's a mix of like the genetics. Thank you, whoever, you know, raised me, and all my grandmas and grandpas and my dad. But it is also about just simply going through this experience, and also asking for help to structure yourself, to make peace with your situation. Because I think the more you fight against it, the more it will come up, and the more you resist, the more you
waste energy
in fear. And there is this, and and there is this lovely quote, and I am a huge fan. Oh my God, that's confession time. I'm a huge sci-fi fan.
Yes.
Sci-fi fan. And I know that many people know that book, Dune, by Frank Herbert. And there is this fantastic quote about fear, that fear is a mind killer. And once you go through fear, all that remains is you. And I think this is the thing. You have to be, and if you are not having it within yourself, you should ask for help, or for a friend. And help doesn't need to be somebody like a psychologist or a professional coach or whatever. It can also be a friend, somebody who gives you a different perspective on stuff.
Yeah.
And that person then just tells you that there is something else on the other side, you know, because light, there's only light because there's shadow. So all these concepts are true. And I think, but I have to say, it also helps when you are a very optimistic and positive person.
Yeah.
And,
sure.
so.
But I think, you know, thank you so much for highlighting the two elements of, I think, I don't know how we all started with this. Perhaps it's a systemic thing, but I also relate a lot with what you have shared. The first one, the fear of asking for help. Perhaps it's shame. Perhaps it's the feeling of that we all have to be strong at all times, right?
Yeah.
And also the second one, caring too much of what other people think, because I definitely resonate with both of them. And those are really recipes for not dealing positively with change, right? And I think life with adversities in the first place isn't something that we can avoid. I think life throws us many things, but it really is in our power to actually seek for help,
I
and
totally.
also to stop caring too much of what other people think. And yeah, thank you so much for highlighting
Yeah,
that. I
sure.
think that is very insightful.
Yeah, I also think pain is something that can drive a lot of kind of change, and
Mm,
I believe that pain is something you have to go through. I
yeah,
just sometimes think people are so busy in avoiding pain,
yeah,
because it just you have to face lots of your demons. It's you always think, I mean, social media is just like, although we are using it heavily, I think, there are people who have no distance to it anymore, and what you see there is just parts of someone's life that might
mm,
not reflect reality. So comparison is also one of those biggies where I always think, why are you comparing yourself? You are so beautiful on your own, so what are you doing? So,
yeah,
but I totally get that people, if you are not really satisfied with your life, and many people are not in this system we are, or in these times we are currently at, people feel disappointed, they feel
mm,
lost. And I think you have to go through this pain in order
yeah,
to well, coming back to my point initially, this is experience, and pain is
yeah.
also experience. And I think the only way is through, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for me, this pain is just inevitable, and similar to you, the people who help me the most
Yeah.
are the people I trust and seek for help. I think that's also another thing that I might want to add, that you can reach out to friends, but also reaching out to people you trust, who earn your trust. And also there are some people who may not be able to give you that fresh perspectives. There are always people who just like to jump in with unuseful advice
Yeah.
with a good intention, but not really. But that's also the point that you have to realize. In my case, I realized, wow, that's not helpful. I'm gonna go for professional coaching. So I think knowing the difference, right? That yes, reach out for help, but when you actually realize not helpful, then also taking decision to get serious help. I think that's also key. And I love that you mentioned about mindset as well. And
Yeah.
you've talked about coaching, but anything else that has helped you on how to build this mindset that is the thriving mindset, apart from coaching? What else? What is your practice? Tell us more about it.
Well, well, my daily practice is pretty weirdo. I basically I wake up in the mornings 5:30 a.m. I do 30 minutes of meditation, and then I run, which
Mm,
I can't do because I have my knee is injured. But usually I'm running 6 times a week, for 10K in the mornings, and it's just helping me
wow,
to
that's a lot.
train. Yeah, but it's just like it became a routine doing it, like
Yeah.
meditation. That's basically my daily practice. I also have to say, because you were mentioning coaching and mindset, I totally believe that I wouldn't be the person that I am now without that coach. And
Mm,
I cannot tell you, I'm not finding any words that can actually really subscribe or describe how grateful I am to that person, because
yeah.
I think that you need people who just get you on that journey,
Yeah.
and who show you the different perspective. And also take care of you to some extent. I mean, systemically, your family can't do it. It's just not possible.
No.
You know,
it's just a different support, you know, it's like emotional support, yes, but in terms of like self-discovery, in terms of really bringing fresh perspectives and then digging deeper into yourself and making yourself resourceful, that's a skill, I think. Yeah.
And I have to say, I think one of the turning points too was I met Jon Kabat-Zinn once in Salzburg, and I have to say, doing a guided meditation with him and going through that seminar with him was mind-blowing, and it changed also, you know, very much my the way I look at mindset. And I think the most impactful, I think, occasion which changed me was the death of my father. My father died very sudden when I was 28. He was 59, and he died in a heart attack while skiing. And I always recall
God.
I always recall that phone call, you know, where it was really when I got told, and things changed in a second. And that was, you know, always said, when I'm 60 years old, I'm going to sell my company, and then I'm going to do this and that and this and that. But fact is, you never know if you actually turn 60, or, you know, you never know if you really go to the next day. So I think that's something that really truly changed my mindset, that you have to live life differently, you know, like really differently. So yeah.
Oh wow, I'm really sorry to hear that, and it sounds like such a big shock, because I think death is always a shock in life, but when it happens in a way that you just are not prepared or you don't expect it, for me it feels like, oh my God, it's it just feels like you're hit by a brick. And when I was interested to hear more when you said that it really changes your mindset in a different way. In what way exactly?
In a way that you should never wait for something. I'm a total believer that you have to, that there is, I mean, it sounds like so clunky and so cliche because everybody says it, but there is nothing than this moment. Nothing, you know. And I have to say, the intensity of that experience did something in the way of like, oh, I have to take care of myself, because in the end, my health and this body is all I have.
The most important thing. Yeah.
And, you know, without my health, I cannot live this life to the fullest. And I think that's what I learned most out of it, is to cherish what I have and to live my life. I have one kind of responsibility: live the life to the fullest, because you never know when it's gone. And there's another really lovely, because we are just talking about it. When my grandma died, I visited her, and back in the days, I was this like super busy. I'm still super busy, but I was this advertising person who traveled a lot, and I knew that it was it's gonna be her last days. So I went to visit her, and you know, she was very, very sick, and I sat next to her and I said, listen, I need to travel. I cannot stay. Would you be okay for me to travel? And she looked at me, and she had this kind of like, she rose up in that bed and she said to me, listen, I would have traveled, and it is your life, and who am I to tell you what to do? You have only one obligation. No regrets. You have to do what you have to do. And I think this is, you know, also just one other thing that shaped my mindset, that there are no regrets. You just have to live your life, because nobody else can live it for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so the mindset is pretty much, don't wait just do what you think is right.
Yeah.
Beliefs do change throughout your life. It is true. There are many things I believed when I was 20, which are not at all what I believe in anymore. But I think this like notion of cherished time is, I
Yeah.
think, something that shaped me pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially.
I love it so much. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I think this living life fully,
Yeah.
it's just so important for me as well. And I think this is also why we have a lot of things to talk about together. And I could
Yeah.
literally talk for hours. And for me, it happened when a friend passed away. And
Mm.
I just had this similar a shift,
Ah,
something inside me that in that moment it felt so unfair. I said to myself, she's the same age as me, haven't really reached 40 at the time, and the life was taken away because the hospital just couldn't treat. It was just overloaded at the time, and so that perspective of like some people don't have second chances. And then now I remember I was at the crossroads. Do I stay in my corporate job? Do I take the leap of faith? And I was ready to take the leap of faith, but I was also in the mindset of let's wait. And it was clear because I was
oh,
already preparing myself, and then I was just
totally.
telling
Yeah.
myself, just wait. I'm actually quite okay here. Maybe I can wait 6 more months, and that circumstances really changed me. And I said, wow, just some people just don't have that time. And I had something that was shifted that I said, uh, I would just fear regrets than fear failure, because I knew I fear a lot, like what people think. What if I fail? What if, a lot of
The
what
full
ifs,
bouquet.
full bouquet. And then I said like regrets, and then I was like, no, 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 I can't deal with that one. So I think this is something that also hit home for me. So thank you so much for mentioning it, to just live life in this moment, in this very moment. It's very important.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
I'm not, can I just say something to that? Sometimes I'm so, it pains me to see how many people are stuck, who are just like stuck in this, like, oh my God, this, like, I know they say hope is no strategy, but sometimes in life, you just need a sense of hope,
yeah,
and a sense of like, there is a way. And that way might not be what you think it was or
yeah,
should be, or all these
yeah,
shoulds, coulds are anyhow wrong.
yeah.
And I think that pains me to see that. And because I think that so many people have so much potential, and I'm like, and I would love to shake them up all and say, listen, you have that
Yeah.
potential. So
But
what?
this is also very important because I think I'm observing some of the people who feel like they
Yes,
don't have hope. And I
yes,
think what I observe is that they are not taking care of their energy. And this comes back to health and basic needs. So if you're not mindful of your energy, your health, you're not having a routine,
yes,
that you're disciplined enough and say like, my health is my number one priority. It is natural not to have energy to go for something else. And I think this
yeah,
is,
yeah,
the first thing that we have
oh
to
yeah,
manage. Is it
yeah,
sleep? Is it
yes,
moving?
yes,
Is it taking care of our health?
yeah,
Because that's where the energy is, don't you
yeah.
think?
Yeah, I did an interview the other day with, a journalist, and she was saying, okay, so you are advising women on their careers. So when do you think that they really mean it, that they want to change? And I told her, listen, it's an energy thing. It truly is. I can tell when people come. It's the same with mentoring. When I
Yeah.
mentor young marketing students, it's the same thing. People come to you and they're like, I have this idea. And this idea is X, Y, Z. What do you think? Or I would love to do, I would love to change. I would love to go to coaching, whatever. What do you think? And then you have some of them who kind of like, where you think, I can see it in your eyes, that the pain of staying where you are is much more intense than jumping. And you can sense it from their kind of, I mean, obviously your heart vibrates and it builds this kind of energy field, you know?
Yeah.
And then there are the other people who are like, just like, they are so busy in like running out and getting it done and taking your advice and just do it because you have done it, you know? And so thinking about energy, you are absolutely right. I mean, there is this kind of emotive energy that results in when you really want to do or really have that hope. And this is why coaching sometimes helps, pretty much, or most of the time helps. You build a different energy. Your vibrancy is different, you know.
Different, yeah, absolutely. Also, I've got another question for you, because people might be wondering, or they might have different perceptions about you just by looking how gorgeous you are. So tell us about your age.
I'm 49 years old.
Right, and we all think that she's 30.
Yeah, thank you.
No,
I feel like
yeah, so I love it. And also the fact that, you know, about the reinvention, I think it's easier to reinvent ourselves when, like you said earlier, in the 20s. And it's just a lot easier because you're not really caught up in these habits or the same way for so long. And as we have certain habits, we live longer. It tends to be more difficult to also reinvent ourselves. So for you, the reinvention actually comes at an age where, I mean, that doesn't look like how you look like right now. so that I just want to give you the space to share in terms of the reinvention, because I also coach senior leaders who are in their 50s and are not looking to move or shake the boat. So I just want to hear out from you what your point of view when it comes to, is the age thing really matters when it comes to reinvention. Should they not change?
I would always say change. I would always jump on my little soapbox and tell everybody that it's worth to change. I am also, you know, the CMO of a company who, you know, also advises people on, you know, their career management beyond their 50s. And it's the stories you hear are sometimes so sad. You know, in the sense of feeling stuck, feeling not enabled to really make the move, feeling ghosted, feeling like ignored. We always talk about high potentials, but we always talk about high potentials in the sense of like young, fresh, vibrant, easy to navigate to some extent too, easy to lead. But I always have to say, I'm feeling like a total high potential. I mean, you know, I have done so much, and maybe it comes with other qualities. You know, maybe it's not like, I don't know, being like, looking like a 20-year-old, but there is so much wisdom because coming back to what I said initially, many people beyond their 50s, and I think society does that to you big time. You know, it tells you that age is a thing. And frankly, fuck it, it's not, you know, it is not. I mean, I totally hear all those people who say you are an exception because you are what you are and you got raised in the way you got raised. But I think in the end, it's a matter of like, and that's the most painful part, I have to say, to get rid of what society has told you.
Yeah.
It is not about
old story. Yeah.
The old story. It's so outsourced. I mean, it's so outdated, because think about it. We are talking about longevity. Yeah. So life expectancy of 100, 120 years. I mean, seriously, with the systems we have now and the society we are living in now, it means that more than half of your life, you're basically just waiting for fucking retirement. I mean, this cannot be.
And we're, if that's the case, we're a toddler. This is
exactly. Exactly right. And I think, well, the advice I usually give to people is to change their narrative, in the sense of like, what have you done, which experience do you have, and how do you transform it into true value? It's not, and what makes you a high potential? Because I think there needs to be a redefinition of high potential in our society. With men, I have to say there is a bit of a different ball game with women versus men, and I have to put it out there. I'm not, I don't want to play that card now, but it's usually the case that when you have a man in his 50s, early 60s, he's like this, serious, very mature and experienced businessman. He has done a lot. With women, it's like, what is fucking wrong with her? That's kind of like the difference. She's like, she probably has gray hair, she raised kids. So all of that stuff is a bit like, okay. And if you got your career and you are still in your job, people are literally, I have just a client who's a CMO, and she's 54 years old, and she got asked by her younger boss if it's not time for her to just move, because she, it might be that she has done so much that she feels tired. No, she doesn't. Why should she? Just because she's 54? So I think, so this, like, I think you have to be daring enough to just say, I am reinventing myself, in the sense of, look at what you have done, how this adds value to somebody else's life, not only to the company you're working at. Maybe it's a chance to leave that company and do something else. We had one of our clients, she now, started a pro bono organization, but she took all the, she knows, like I did, I take everything I experienced, been taught, done from corporate and agency life, into little present with a little lovely ribbon, and offer it to people and to companies that are on the quest for change. There is so much to give. And I think this perspective of like, what can you truly give is amazing. And it's most of the time turning point for people. They say, oh, now I got it, and sometimes I think people, and this might be a bit provocative now, but hey, here we go. It's age is no excuse. And some people also, I mean, there are people like you and me who would never stand still. It's just in our DNA. And this is also what we believe in, that standing still is our death, Are people I also see who are like, oh, I'm 56. No, I cannot do it, because they use it as an excuse to not do stuff. And I think you have to be open for lifelong learning. You have to be open to work with other generations. And I'm also giving trainings on, intergenerational communication, because you cannot just be confrontational the whole time. I mean, this is it. So
but I love what you shared about the old story, because I think it's so real. Whether the old story is something happening inside of us internally, or the old story of what we see in the society,
Yeah.
or in our close circle. For
Yeah.
example, I know that my mom is not a career woman, and often I would have this guilt feeling of, let's say, not being around my children 100% or 24/7.
Yeah.
But then I have to, as if like break this old story, because see, what I have seen all my life also becomes the belief, the story I create, right? I've seen my mom was there all the time, and that was
Mm.
her choice, and she's happy with it, right? But it isn't my choice. And I want to be a mother and also
Yeah.
someone who is, yeah, having work have and being active in the professional life. So I think that old story, it's good to be mindful, also how you were raised and whether the old story was influenced in the way
Yeah.
that you were
Yeah.
raised, and then ask yourself and be honest, what is the future you, right? So you don't get stuck in the past. So what's the future you? If that future you is someone who stays at home, then by any means, right, that's a choice. But if the future you is not someone like that, or maybe like you said, reinventing by 60, or
Yeah.
redefining high potential, and I think
Yeah.
that's really like sticking to it and really embodying that energy. Like, I'm a high potential, at 60
Yeah.
years old.
In
Yeah.
all fairness, I have to say though, and I think for the people who are over 50, we need to be like super fair that to say that um also another provocative thing to say, but I do think that society is not at that point yet. You are still, for example, I was applying for a job just to test it. And I don't want to say which company it was, but it was a consulting company.
Mm.
And they asked me in my, I mean, first of all, they told me that it is a huge exception of the rule that they
Mm.
actually ask somebody beyond 34,
Mm.
34 is saying, into an interview. And I
Mm.
mean, the first thing you get and what it does with you is like, oh my God, already that sentence puts people like totally off, because it's a
Yeah.
bit like, oh, you're an exception of the rule, and actually I don't really want to do it. Second, they said, what was your A levels, which kind of numerus clausus was your A levels? And I'm like, oh God, darling, it's like you get interviewed by a 30-year-old who asks you about your A levels, which are frankly 30 years ago. So, and then I said, and I mean, in the end, we had a great conversation, intergenerational conversation, but society and also employers with this employers politics is not ready for people over 50 who are super active. It's actually quite the opposite. It's still this kind of like, oh, we don't know what to do with you. You are basically, it's a bit like you are old, you are not digi savvy, you are scared of AI. Fuck it. I'm not scared of AI. And I'm more than happy to tell every person what's in it with AI, but people can learn.
Yeah.
And there is also this notion of like being slow, and I don't know what some people are. You will always have that, but there are also
Yeah.
young people who are slow. But society still has this kind of,
Yeah, that's true.
and this is why I'm becoming a bit of a soapbox ambassador to say it can be also a high potential.
I think I love that you mentioned that, it isn't like black or white.
Yeah.
So there are some people who are slow, there are some young people who are slow.
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm getting is that it's not just us, it's also the systemic, it's the employers needing to
Yes.
upgrade their thoughts, so that we can change the narrative around reinvention, like beyond 50. And so I love that you're so actively involved in really the reinvention and redefining that. And just the last question for you, what would be your advice for people, beyond 50 who would like to to redefine their professional identity, or they want to reinvent self, what would be your advice for them?
I mean, there's obviously this mindset of like, fuck your age. I mean, it's really true. I think it needs to start with that. And to really go back to what you want to share with that world, because science shows and proves that beyond your 50, it is not about, kind of like status anymore or how much money you earn. It is far more about the P word. I always call it the P word because some people don't have the luxury to think about their purpose, they have to provide. That's a different ball game. But also these people would love to do something that is more fulfilling. And sometimes taking a step back and looking at what you want to do with your life can be a true enabler. And if you're not kind of like wired to take a leap of faith to do something completely different, there are many possibilities within your circle that you're in now, and also the job you're in now, to do something different. And I think when I hear when people hear reinvention or personal branding or personal reinvention, they always think about that daring, bold move, and you have to do something completely different. No, sometimes you don't have to. It's like little habits, little things just change. For example, mentorship, we have a lot of, or I have a lot of work with a lot of people. Their first starting point or their starting point was reaching out to younger people and start mentoring. And then they saw the value that they bring, because somebody tells you, oh, wow, I totally love what you tell me. I never seen it like that or whatever. And coming
the life
out,
wisdom.
But coming out of that experience, your self-confidence grows, because it has a lot to do with how you see yourself and how confident you are in your own skin,
I love that. I think it's so important. And thank you for mentioning that. Also, the point earlier on that, the P, that purpose, that some people, may not be in the headspace for it because they have to provide. I think that's fair enough. But also, I love that you mentioned that it's not black or white. Maybe it's gray. And how does gray look like to you? If that looks like mentoring or something else, to really explore that in whatever that works for them.
And I just, let me say one thing. I know I had been very about fuck your age, but I think what I want to say to that is many people lie about their age, especially women. And I think being authentic and being true to your age helps being even more honest and being more authentic. And this world needs more authenticity, And lying about your age is the first step to actually really participating in an ageism game, and I think that's
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the thought-provoking and just so much energy around how do we change the narrative of age. And that's just really insightful. Thank you so much. Thanks, Susanne.
Oh, thank you.
And for those who are curious about Susanne, really excited to meet her or to contact her. We'll send across the LinkedIn page. Her name is Susanne Deobald, and I would recommend to reach out to her. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you in the next Changemaker Stories.
Bye.
Bye.